Hello students, how are you all? Today we are going to discuss about biological classification, which includes 2 kingdom classification and 5 kingdom classification and now 6 kingdom classification. Why the classification is required? Because we are having our needs like shelter, food. For this purpose, if we want to identify the particular thing, then a proper classification is required. So initially the classification started with the Aristotle, who attempted the more scientific basis for classification. Then he emphasized the simple morphological characters, that is how the externally the organism is looking like, to classify the plants into trees, shrubs and herbs, that is they are big in stature or medium in stature or small in stature. So we have to remember this point that Aristotle gave emphasis on morphological characters to classify the plants into trees, shrubs and herbs, and he is the first person who attempted a more scientific basis for classification. He also divided the animals into 2 groups, that is the animals which are red blood cells and the animals which do not have red blood cells. So this is the basic classification proposed by Aristotle. Later the 2 kingdom classification was proposed by Linnaeus. He classified all the animals and all the plants and all the organisms into a Plantae and Animalia kingdoms. So what is the big merit of that Linnaeus is that all plants and animals were included in the kingdoms Plantae and Animalia. So there is no confusion. And what is the demerit of the 2 kingdom classification is that this classification, it did not distinguish between eukaryotes, that is the organisms which are having the true 2 type of nucleus, and prokaryotes which do not have the true 2 type of nucleus, unicellular organisms, that is which are having the single cell, and multicellular organisms which are having the multiple cells, and photosynthetic and non-photosynthetic organisms. And there is a lot of but this classification gone for several years, and a long time after that there was become a necessity that we cannot keep all the organisms into a Plantae and Animalia, because there are some prokaryotes and eukaryotes, both we cannot keep them under the Plantae. So the later then Whitaker RH, he proposed the 5 kingdom classification. So main criteria for this classification is that cell structure, how the cell is looking like, and what is the structure of the cell, and what are the cell organelles, and body organization. Then mode of nutrition, what is the type of nutrition, that is absorptive mode, heterotrophic nutrition, autotrophic nutrition, and reproduction biology, and phylogenetic relationship. This phylogenetic relationship is very more important, how the organism is evolving from its ancestors. So what are those 5 kingdoms? First one is the Monera. Monera is specifically, it included the prokaryotic organisms, that is the bacteria, and the second one is the Protista, which include eukaryotic organisms, and third one is the fungi, and fourth one Plantae, then fifth one is the Animalia. Plantae and Animalia, we are having very clear cut identification, that is Plantae means all the plant species included in the Plantae, and Animalia, all the animals are placed under the Animalia, and fungi means all the fungal classification I already explained in my previous videos. So all fungi are kept in the kingdom fungi, and Monera and Protista. So this is the 5 kingdom classification. We will discuss in this class about the Monera and Protista, and fungi introduction and body structure and classification I explained in my initial videos. I will provide some of the links in the description box, please go through them. And Plantae and Animalia I will discuss in the coming classes. Okay. And there is a 3 domain system is also there, where the Monera is divided into 2 domains, like because to keep the Archaebacteria and Eubacteria, so they proposed the 3 domain system. Only the Monera divided into 2 domains, remaining as it is they kept like that. So, in earlier classification systems include these bacteria, blue-green algae, fungi, mosses, ferns, gymnosperms, angiosperms, everything under plants. That's why the 5 kingdom classification necessity came, because we cannot keep this bacteria which are prokaryotic and blue-green algae, fungi which are having the eukaryotic nuclei, and we cannot keep under the same kingdom. So, the character that unified this whole kingdom was all the organisms included had a cell wall in their cells. So, let us see the what are the different characteristics under these 5 kingdoms, how they will differ. First one, if you will take the cell type. What is the cell type? Because these things we have to remember, they are very important for the NEET exam. So, in case of Monera, cell type is prokaryotic cell type, that means which is having the primitive nuclear type without any proper nuclear membrane. But in case of Protista, we are having eukaryotic type of cell type. That is, eukaryotic means it is a 2 type of nucleus we can find in Protista to Animalia, that is fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Coming to the cell wall, in case of Monera, that is having the bacteria, that is non-cellulosic because it doesn't have any cellulose and it is polysaccharide plus amino acids. In case of Protista, present in some protistans, and in case of fungi, cell wall is present which is made up of the chitin substance. In some fungi we can find cellulose also, like primitive fungi. In case of like before Oomycetes, that is a first classification, we can find cellulose. And in Plantae and Animalia, Plantae cell wall is present which is made up of the cellulose. Then later lignin also used to be there, but in case of animals, a proper cell wall is absent. Coming to the nuclear membrane, in case of Monera, nuclear membrane is absent, that is nucleus used to be distributed in the bacterial cell, and a nuclear membrane is present in the Protista and fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Coming to the body organization, it is a type of cellular organization in case of Monera, that is a bacterial cell, what we used to call. In case of Protista is also cellular, but in case of fungi it is a multicellular in nature, that is multiple cells, what we used to call as a mycelium or thallus. The body structure what we used to call in the fungi is thallus or loose tissue. It used to be arranged in the form of a loose tissue. In case of Plantae, it is tissue or organ. In case of Animalia, tissue or organ or different organ systems also present. And mode of nutrition, in case of bacteria, it is autotrophic, that is they can synthesize their own food material either through photosynthetic activity or chemosynthetic activity, and heterotrophs also, that is who depend on others for their nutritive material, that we used to call as saprophytes or parasites. Saprophytes means who live on dead organic matters, that is they obtain their nutrients by decomposing this dead organic matter, they are known as saprophytes. Parasites means who depend on other organisms for obtaining their nutritive material, that is depends on other living organisms. In case of Protista, they are autotrophic, that is photosynthetic, and heterotrophic, that is they can synthesize their own food material. Some species depend on other living things. And in case of fungi, fungi is especially heterotrophic, there is no autotrophic, because they are either saprophytic or parasitic and they cause many diseases in case of plants, animals. So, they are or otherwise they live on dead organic material in the agricultural land. So, that is saprophytes and parasites. And here plants are autotrophic, they synthesize their own food material, and animals they are heterotrophic, that is holozoic or saprophyte. So, let us see the first kingdom, Monera. What are the basic characteristics of the Monera, and what are the different type of questions can be asked in the NEET exam from this kingdom Monera. So, kingdom Monera solely includes the only bacteria, that point we have to remember. And bacteria generally they are most abundant in the nature. Even if you take the one handful of soil, you can find hundreds of the bacteria in that soil. And one special character for this bacteria is that they can live in extreme habitats like hot springs, deserts, snow and deep oceans, where only we can find few other life forms. Not all life forms can survive in these extreme environments. So, and many of them live in other organisms as a parasites, already I told. So bacteria basically they divide into 4 categories based on the shape of the cell. So for this I am listing out the different type of bacteria here. For this I made one complete video about the bacterial cell structure, what are the different type of bacteria, what are the different external and internal organs present in the bacteria. I will give that link in the description box. So here we will see only the different group of bacteria. First one is the, if the bacteria is spherical in shape, then we call it as a coccus. If many bacteria are there, then we call it as a cocci. And if it is a rod shaped bacteria, then we call it as a bacillus. These terms we have to remember, because it may be asked in the exam that spherical bacteria are generally known as coccus. So we should know the answer. We should not get confusion between these terms. So and another comma shaped bacteria, then we used to call as a vibrium, and plural vibrio. Vibrio like a cholera disease, if you see vibrio cholera, we used to call that is caused by comma shaped bacteria. And if it is a spiral in shape, then we used to call as a spirillum, that is spirilla. These are the 4 different categories of the bacteria based on their shape. Okay. So in this bacteria there are 2 types. One is archaebacteria and second one is the eubacteria. Archaebacteria means the name itself indicating that archae means it is a primitive type of bacteria which can live in harsh environments. So we have to remember that archaebacteria can capable of living and at extreme environments, because of they are having some compounds in the cell wall. Because of that compounds, they can capable of living under extreme environments. So archaebacteria live in most harsh habitats such as extremely salt areas. So bacteria which live in extremely salt areas, they are generally known as halophiles. Halophiles means which are living under extreme salt areas. So plants which are living in salt areas are known as halophytes. Here bacteria which are living in salty areas are known as halophiles. And hot springs, that is high temperatures, thermoacidophiles. In case of plants, thermophytes. And marshy areas, methanogens. These terms you have to remember that halophiles, thermophiles and methanogens. The term methanogens means that bacteria could capable of releasing the methane gas during that process. So that's why they are known as methanogens. So these archaebacteria differ from other bacteria. How they differ means because they are having the different cell wall structure, and because of this different cell wall structure they can capable of survive in extreme conditions. So methanogens, that is the bacteria which live in marshy areas, they are very important because they survive in gut of several ruminant animals like cows and buffaloes, and they are responsible for the production of methane gas, that is biogas. That's why we are capable of producing the biogas from the dung of these animals, because of this methanogens, and that is biogas production. Okay, I think now it is clear cut understood from your side, that is archaebacteria. Then coming to the eubacteria, the name itself indicating that eubacteria means it is a true bacteria. So these eubacteria are also known as true bacteria. These are characterized by presence of a rigid cell wall, and they may or may not have a flagellum. If flagellum is there, they are motile in nature. If flagellum is not there, they are non-motile in nature. And this eubacteria includes cyanobacteria, which is also known as blue-green algae. This term you have to remember that cyanobacteria is also known as blue-green algae, BGA. It have the chlorophyll A. You have to remember this chlorophyll A. This is similar to green plants. That's why they are capable of synthesizing their own food material. So we can call them as a photoautotrophs, that is which can synthesize their own food material with the help of the sunlight. And coming to the structure, the cyanobacteria are unicellular and they may be colonial or filamentous. That means they may be present in a group of cells, or they may be associated with each one another, and they present under the one sheath like structure in the filamentous form, and they may be present in the freshwater or marine environment or terrestrial algae. So the colonies are generally surrounded by gelatinous sheath. Here you can see the gelatinous sheath around the filamentous things, and here one heterocyst also used to be there. Heterocyst is nothing but this cell is different from the other cells, and it is a hard like structure. Because of heterocyst only they can capable of synthesizing their own food material. And BGA often forms blooms in the polluted water bodies. If you are seeing the in polluted water bodies that blooms, that is because of blue green algae. And some of these organisms can fix atmospheric nitrogen in specialized cells called heterocyst. This heterocyst is especially also useful for the synthesis of atmospheric nitrogen, and because of this heterocyst. But chlorophyll A present in all the cells so that they can synthesize their own food material, not because of heterocyst. Heterocyst is especially useful for to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. Example for the eubacteria like nostoc and anabina. You can see the nostoc structure here, how it will look like. Okay. Then another term is the chemosynthetic autotrophs. That means they synthesize their own food material but by using the inorganic substances. That means the chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria, they oxidize various inorganic substances like nitrates, nitrites and ammonia, and use the released energy for their energy production. They are known as chemoautotrophs. These chemosynthetic autotrophs play a great role in recycling of nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, iron and sulfur. We have to remember this point, that which of the following bacteria plays an important role in recycling of the nutrients. So answer will be chemoautotrophs or chemosynthetic autotrophic bacteria. Then coming to the another type, that is heterotrophic bacteria, which will depend on other organisms for synthesis of their own food material. The heterotrophic bacteria are most abundant in nature because compared to this photosynthetic and chemosynthetic autotrophs, these heterotrophs are the more, because majority of the decomposers who will decompose the other organic materials for obtaining the nutrient material, that is they are saprophytic in nature, and many of them have a significant impact on human affairs, like for if we are using this bacteria, heterotrophic bacteria will be useful for synthesis of curd from the milk and production of antibiotics and fixing nitrogen in case of leguminous roots. So all these bacteria are heterotrophic bacteria. And some of the bacteria are pathogen. They cause damage to human beings, crops, farm animals and pets. So if you will see the examples under the heterotrophic bacteria like cholera, which is caused by Vibrio cholera, and typhoid, tetanus and citrus canker. Citrus canker is caused by Xanthomonas citri. These are the well-known diseases examples under heterotrophic bacteria. So if you will see the reproduction in bacteria, generally reproduction will happen through the fission, that is bacteria reproduce by fission. That is, if first some constriction will happen in the middle of the bacterial cell. This reproduction also I think I explained in my previous videos. If it is not there, just you give the comment in comment section so that I will prepare a next video. So here some constriction will happen in the middle, then this constriction extends from both sides, and then this divided into two daughter cells. Again this bacterial cell again undergo the division, and same thing it will repeated. Okay, and then genetic material also divide. And sometimes under unfavorable conditions, these bacteria produce the spores like endospores, which because of these spores they can survive for so many years. And there is also a part of the sexual reproduction also there, like transformation, conjugation, transduction. So I will explain that into a separate video. So because of those sexual reproduction, the primitive type of DNA transfer from one bacterium to other, it will takes place. Under the bacteria, mycoplasma also placed in the kingdom Monera. This mycoplasma are the organism which do not have a particular cell wall, that is they look like amoeba type, and they are the smallest living cells known and can survive without oxygen. This point we have to remember here, that mycoplasma are the smallest living cells which known and they can survive without oxygen. And mycoplasma also cause diseases because they are pathogenic in nature, and in both animals and plants they cause the diseases. Coming to the second kingdom, Protista. This Protista include single celled eukaryotes, which are having the single cell with proper nucleus and nuclear membrane, they placed under the kingdom Protista. But in Protista there is no well defined boundaries, means which only organism has to keep in the Protista, which has to be transferred to the plants, because one scientist may feel that under the Protista one organism may be photosynthetic Protistan, but same other person may feel that that may be a plant. So here we will discuss about the these chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids, slime molds and protozoans, which placed under the kingdom Protista, which are also important for the NEET exam. And Protista members are primarily aquatic. They live in aquatic environment, that may be marine environment or freshwater aquatic nature. And this is the link between the Monera and higher organisms like fungi, Plantae and Animalia. This forms the link, that is the between these, it is connecting between primitive and higher organisms. So we have to remember that Protista is a link between the lower organisms and higher organisms. Being eukaryotes, Protistan cell body contains a well defined nucleus, because eukaryotes means well defined nucleus, and other membrane bound organelles, and some have flagella or cilia also, for which is locomotory organs, which is helpful for the motion of that particular organism. So Protista reproduce both asexually and sexually by involving cell fusion and zygote formation. Sexually means zygote formation, asexually means cell fusion. So first we will see the chrysophytes. Chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae. We have to remember that diatoms. Chrysophytes include diatoms and golden algae, that is also known as desmids, because they may ask the diatoms and golden algae included under which group, like chrysophytes. And they are found in fresh water as well as in marine environments. In both we can found, and they are microscopic in nature and float passively in water currents, what we used to know as plankton. And most of them are photosynthetic, they synthesize their own food material. In case of diatoms, one special feature is that cell wall forms two thin overlapping shells. Here you can see one overlapping shell, here one overlapping shell, which fit together as in a soap box. Like diatoms used to, they fit in soap box. So these walls are embedded with silica, which is very hard in nature. So thus these walls are indestructible, because silica is hard in nature, so we cannot destroy the cell walls. In the long run, what will happen, the diatoms have left behind this large amount of cell wall deposits, which is rich in silica in their habitat. So this accumulation of this cell wall, which is rich in silica over billion of years, that is known as diatomaceous earth. This diatomaceous earth we have to remember, very important things. And this diatomaceous earth we can use for the polishing purpose and filtration of oils, and in case of syrups also we will use. And diatoms are the chief producers in the ocean. This point we have to remember. Which of the following are the chief producers in the ocean, means these diatoms. Why chief producers in the ocean, means these diatoms will synthesize the fatty acids which are rich in heavy molecules. These fatty acids they are the food material for these aquatic animals like zooplankton, fishes and other aquatic organisms. So that's why these diatoms are known as chief producers in the ocean. So here 2 points we have to remember. Chrysophytes include both diatoms and golden algae, and diatomaceous earth we can observe under the chrysophytes, and diatoms are the chief producers in case of ocean. Coming to the dinoflagellates, the name itself indicating the diflagellates, that means they are having the two flagella. Obviously one is longitudinal, one is transverse. So dinoflagellates are mostly marine and photosynthetic. They will synthesize their own food material, and they used to be appear in different colors because of their yellow, green, brown, blue or red, depending upon the presence of the pigments in their cells. Cell wall has a stiff cellulose plates on the outer surface, and here we can see the dinoflagellates, they are having the stiff cellulose plates on the outside. and most of them having the two flagella, that is the name itself indicating that they are having two flagella. One lies longitudinally and other transversely in a furrow. Here we can see in this furrow between the wall plates. And here one important point we have to remember that red dinoflagellates undergoes rapid multiplication in the sea, which gives the appearance that red tides. This red tides is because of dinoflagellates. Example we have to remember gonialax. Okay, this question will come in the exam. So toxins released by such large numbers may even kill other marine animals and such as fishes, because this red tides is not good for the aquatic animals, because they will release the toxins and thus toxin materials kill these aquatic animals. So this is the dinoflagellate, chrysophytes and dinoflagellates up to now we studied. Then third one is the euglenoids. What is euglenoids? Euglenoids are the majority of them are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Here we have to remember that these are freshwater organisms found in stagnant water. Another important character of euglenoids is that instead of cell wall they have a protein rich layer known as pellicle. So protein rich layer present in the euglenoids is known as pellicle, which makes their body flexible. And they are also having two flagella, one is short and one is long. Here you can see the long flagella and short flagella, and they are photosynthetic in the presence of sunlight. In the absence of sunlight they can become heterotroph and they will predate the small organisms in the stagnant water. And the pigments of euglenoids are identical to those present in the higher plants. Example euglena. This example we can remember very easily. Only the points we have to remember that euglenoids present in the stagnant water and the protein rich layer present in the cell wall is known as pellicle. These two words we have to remember. Then fourth one is the slime molds. So the name itself indicating that it used to slip in nature. Slime molds, it doesn't have any particular cell wall because the name itself indicating that, so it will slippage in the nature. So slime molds are saprophytic protist because they live on dead organic matters, and the slime mold's body moves along with the decaying twigs and leaves, engulfing the organic material. What is the mode of nutrition? Engulfing. Engulfing means whichever will come across its body, then it will engulf into its body. It doesn't have any chewing type, nothing like that, just it takes into its body. Under suitable conditions they form an aggregation known as plasmodium, which may grow and spread over the several feet, and during unfavorable condition the plasmodium differentiates and forming a fruiting bodies which bearing the spores at their tips. So under suitable conditions the slime molds aggregates and form the plasmodium. Under unsuitable conditions, that is unfavorable conditions, they form the fruiting bodies with the spores. So only slime molds produce the fruiting bodies and spores under unfavorable conditions. So spores possess true walls and extremely, because spores are formed under the unfavorable conditions, generally they are very resistant and survive for many years even under adverse conditions. To tolerate the adverse conditions only these fruiting bodies and spores used to be produced. Even in case of fungi also, under unfavorable conditions we can found this type of spores. Spores are dispersed by the air currents. During the wind timings these spores will be dispersed to the other places. So the next one is the protozoans. Protozoans are the heterotrophs because they depend on other organisms and live as a predator or parasites. We have to remember this word. Protozoans live as a predators or parasites, and they are believed to be primitive relatives of animals. So which are the organisms are believed to be primitive relatives of the animals means protozoans. So there are majorly 4 groups in the protozoans. Let us see one by one. First one is the amoeboid protozoans, which is having the amoeba like structures. Here you can see the structure. These amoeboid protozoans live in fresh water, sea water or moist soil. Anywhere they can survive, and they move and capture their prey by putting out the pseudopodia. Here we can see the, so pseudopodia is the false feet, like in amoeba how we will see, it will put forward the false feet and it will take out the food. And marine forms have silica shells on their surface. Silica shell is very strong in nature, and example is the entamoeba. They are parasites in nature. After amoeboid protozoans, we can see the flagellated protozoa, the name itself indicating that they are having the flagella. Here in this picture you can see it is having the flagella. So flagellated protozoans are either free living or parasitic, and they have the flagella. And parasitic forms generally they used to cause the diseases. Example, trypanosoma, which used to cause African sleeping sickness disease. Very important question, because African sleeping sickness or sleeping sickness disease is caused by which of the following pathogen or which of the following parasite? Trypanosoma. Then third one is the ciliated protozoans. So amoeboid protozoans which do not have any flagella like structure. Second one is the flagellated protozoans. Now third one is the ciliated protozoans. The ciliated protozoa, the ciliated means which are having the cilia, that means short hair like structures throughout their body. Here you can see the paramecium which is having the cilia throughout its body. That's why we used to call it as a ciliated protozoans. So they are aquatic and actively moving organisms because of presence of thousands of cilia throughout the body, and they have a cavity, that is gullet. Gullet is that this is the oral groove which is called as gullet, that opens to the outside of the cell surface, and they will take the food inside this cavity. And the coordinated movement of rows of the cilia which causes the water along with the food, that used to be coming into this gullet. Because of this cilia coordinated movement, everything will come into this gullet, and from this inside this cell. Example is the paramecium. And after that sporozoans are there. Sporozoans include diverse organisms which have an infectious spore like stage in their life cycle. Example, plasmodium, which used to cause malarial parasite, malarial disease which causes the malaria. And they have the staggering effect on human population, means human population means after affecting the malaria, what will happen? We will become so weak and unable to do anything, any work. So staggering effect will happen on the human population. So today we learned about the kingdom Monera and kingdom Protista, and kingdom fungi, general characters and history related to fungi, and what are the different classification of the fungi. Already I explained in my previous classes. So we will meet in the next video with the Plantae and Animalia kingdoms. So if you like my lecture, please subscribe to my channel, and please recommend to your friends, so that they will learn something new and which will be helpful to them. So thank you for your keen interest in this video, and remember to like and subscribe for more videos. I wish you a great success, health, prosperity and happiness. And if you need any specific topic, please comment here, so that I will prepare a special lecture on based on your requirements. Thank you one and all.